Everyone remembers Daphne Maxwell Reid as the iconic TV mom of the 1990s from her 3 seasons as Aunt Vivian on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Well, Daphne couldn't be more excited when she got the call that the cast of The Fresh Prince was reuniting after 30 years for an unscripted reunion special now airing on HBO Max. Say hello to Daphne Maxwell Reid. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in one more time to Hollywood Live, because you know we're bringing it to you. And today, my guest is none other than the Renaissance woman who is fresh off the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion, Daphne Maxwell Reid. How are you?
I'm great. And boy, I'm still flying high from that reunion.
I was going to say, when you got the first call about it, what was your first immediate thought?
Well, the first thing I heard about it was an email. And it was an email inviting me to see if I wanted to join and then offering me some money. And I said, what? I'll be there. What's up?
Right.
Yeah.
Do I really need to think about this? Well, you know, it's so interesting because it's been first of all, I can't even believe it's been 30 years. It was when I moved to LA. And, you know, everybody used to come over to our little studio down here in Burbank. And
Yes.
it was 30 years ago, and it really was 30 years ago.
Yeah. And that wasn't the beginning of my career. So
No, I know. Well, no, but that's very true. But people, you know, that's what people really know you from.
Yep.
And still remember you.
Yeah.
So tell me about, you know, it's interesting because, of course, I think everybody is there. Philip Avery, we lost him a few years ago. What was just the general thinking about Philip on the set and kind of feelings and thoughts that you guys had?
We always talk about James when we get together, even 2 or 3 of us, but when we were there at the reunion and they showed the clip that they had edited together, we were all bawling. I mean, he was such a rock, and he was such a good friend of mine. And he was somebody that I loved so dearly. He and his wife and Tim and I used to just travel around together and laugh. He was so smart. He was so well read. He was such a good actor. He was such a giving person and had the best bear hugs in the world. So
yes, he did.
We really miss him terribly.
Oh, I know. And I called him Philip. I meant to say James Avery.
Oh.
It's okay. He'll understand.
Yeah. Oh,
You'll understand. So, you know, the other interesting aspect of the reunion, and then we'll move on to all of the other things you got going on. But Janet Hubert, who was the first Aunt Viv, and left the show kind of in a hurry, but she came back and seems like that she mended some fences. Tell me about that.
Will and she mended fences, and that was done outside of the reunion. That was done for Will. Will really wanted to move on with his life and had to think about how he could approach that. And he decided that the reunion should include the original Aunt Viv, of course. So we saw, while we were shooting the reunion, we saw just a clip of the interview that he did the reunion that he had with Janet all by himself. And we were really pleased that it had moved on. I had no say in it. I had no feelings one way or the other because I knew nothing about what had gone on. I didn't follow the chatter on social media. So I didn't know what had gone on and was not a part of needing to mend any fences. So
right, exactly.
I was fine. I was just there.
Yeah, I get that. And there's nothing wrong with being just there. By the way, we didn't really have social media back in those days.
We sure didn't.
We sure didn't. That was 30 years ago, girl. Nobody even thought about social media. And
no.
Look where we are today. But I want to move on and talk about your Christmas movie that just came out on Netflix.
Yes.
You know, you're living in Virginia. How are you doing all this stuff?
Well, like they say, I fly.
Okay.
And that was shot. We finished shooting that 3 days before they shut down LA.
Okay.
So it was a blessing.
Yeah.
That movie was a very small independent movie that was just shot in about 2 weeks. And I just thought the script was delightful. So I was very happy when they asked me to join them. And it's a story about a family who owns a toy store, the Franklin family. And we're having a bit of a financial problem, as a lot of us are at this point in time. And our grown kids don't know anything about our financial problem. They have lives of their own, but I dearly want them to come home for Christmas. And it's a whole process of trying to get them home and other things that ensue. And of course, since it's a Christmas movie, a happy ending.
Oh, but of course, I love it. And that's playing right now on Netflix. Everybody can check it
Nope,
out.
nope, sorry.
It's not?
No. It got bought from Netflix by BET Plus. It's on BET Plus.
Oh, okay.
And we just found out about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we're all finding out at the same time.
Yes.
So, but it's airing right now. People can check it out.
It's streaming. So it'll be
Streaming
on
right now.
from now until the end of our lives.
Yes, there you go. I love that. And speaking to the end of our lives, you know what? You and I probably have some of the longest lasting Hollywood marriages ever. And together, it must be about 100 years or somewhere in there. Still married to the same man, Mr. Tim Reid, who everybody knows. How's Tim doing?
Tim is doing great. He is right now putting up his own streaming network. Okay. So all of the projects that he's done over the years, his documentaries, his travels, the projects that he did with his institute, where he's training filmmakers from all over the world, all these guys are all coming together and streaming a wonderful network called Legacy of a People Network. And it's an amazing compilation of so many wonderful things and new things too. He's got this hysterical woman from South Africa who does kind of like a 15-minute presentation of what's on her mind. And she is just hysterical. She sings, she just does little skits. She's amazing. Theta Show is just a great show. And other things that are happening, people that he's met over the years, an animation house down in, where is it? Down Turks and Caicos. No, further down. Trinidad.
Okay.
Trinidad. And this woman has a school that she has trained animators for the past 20 years, and they have all of these wonderful new projects. We get to see what Black animating creation people can do. And they're going to have a whole section on the network. So it's just a real exciting time for him. He's a very happy man. We just celebrated last Friday our 38th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Congratulations. But we're together for 40 years. Wow, and in Hollywood, what is that, Tanya? That's 163 years,
163 years. Well, so now that's what I said. Between the two of us, it's now close to 200 years.
Yes, it's amazing. But we're fine. We're doing fine.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I want you to tell people about your other business too, only because I'm getting ready to go online when we finish this and order one of your jackets. But this lady, for everybody who may not know, she used to actually make, we always have costume people and wardrobe people. Well, Daphne would make her own stuff, and it was always fabulous. And they allowed you to do that often on these sets.
Thank you, they did.
Which is not, that's not the norm. But you've been sewing all your life. You said, how did you get into making these new artistic jackets that you're doing and other things?
Well, I'm a fabriholic, and I fell in love with Chinese silk brocades. So I needed to make sure that I could find a way to take these brocades and make something that I really loved. And I started making these jackets for me. Mm-hmm. And every time I wore one, I would get where'd you get that jacket? I made it. Would you make me one? And I would say, no. But eventually Tim, for a fundraiser for his institute, was having a fashion show. So he said, I want you to make a line of those coats because they get a lot of exposure with you walking around the streets in them. And I did my first line and sold them off of the runway. And I said, oh, so maybe I should sell them. And I started a custom business. So I only do them custom because I don't want to be chained to the sewing machine, because I make each one of these as an art project. I
Right.
consider them like a piece of statement jewelry. It's something that you adorn yourself with over jeans, or if a gown if you want. And
Right.
I did have on one of my jackets during the reunion for Fresh Prince, and also in the movie The Business of Christmas on BET Plus. I have on two of my jackets in that show. So I get a lot of interest in them, even from the wardrobe people who are doing TV.
I am so sure. And where can people go to find these?
DaphneMaxwellReid.com.
Okay.
Lots of things that I've been doing are on that website. And since
Okay.
I sew, I've been making masks for this horrendous time of our lives. And I make very beautiful masks, but they're also very healthy because they have a pocket with a HEPA filter in it.
Mm.
And you can take the HEPA filter out, wash your mask, hang it up, and stick that filter back in. And you are safer than wearing just a cloth mask.
Yeah.
But you
And that's
also
very
look pretty
important.
good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so there are a couple of items that we need to go on the website and check out. And it's interesting because even though we have a vaccine now coming to the US pretty soon,
Yeah.
we're probably gonna be in masks for a while. Looking,
Yes.
we've all been around for a couple of minutes, and in your lifetime, I know none of us have ever seen anything like this, but what would you say to encourage young people out there who, I've got to say, they're wondering how they're going to get through this and then what they're going to be able to do after this is over.
I think this is a perfect time to look deep into your soul and find the things that bring you joy that you can create. This is a time of creation. It's a time of deciding what your purpose is, moving toward that purpose, making your plans so that when we are able to function a little more normally, you can hit the ground running. But don't be discouraged about this. We've been through harder times than this, and we are survivors. You're all a survivor, but it takes a little bit of positivity. Wake up every morning, decide on one thing to do, accomplish that, reward yourself for that accomplishment, and move on.
That's some very, very good advice. And of course, it would come from Aunt Viv.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Oh, darling, it's so good to see you too. I'm glad you guys are well. When this is over, maybe I'll fly into Virginia and see you sometime,
Oh, it's a great place to visit. Come on down. We'll
Yeah.
give you some Southern hospitality.
I love it. I love it. And we love you. Thanks for joining me. Come back
Thanks,
anytime.
sweetheart. Thank you. Be well.
Okay. You too. And for everybody else out there, you be well. And don't stop watching Hollywood Live because, as you know, we bring it to you every time. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.